Hey folks, I'm Clyde. This is my shop. On this episode, we're going to find a home for the Let's Go Bandon 350. And I believe I've got a place located for it right up there on the lift. That's a 1985 GMC C1500. I'll do a little quick walk around with that here in a little bit. But first, let's figure out what happened to this engine that's in there. It's locked up. The guy I bought it from told me it was running down the road and all of a sudden it just kind of shut off. So let's get under there and see if we can figure it out. So the first thing I did when I bought this truck is I pulled the dipstick on it to see, what the oil condition looked like. And so when I pulled it out, there was literally a teeny tiny drop on the very end of the dipstick. So I said, well, that can't be good. So I opened the door, and sure enough, on top of the windshield, in the top left-hand corner, your little oil change stickers up there. And the mileage on that is really close to the mileage on the odometer. So I figured that probably what happened is they went to a little quickie lube place and they drained the oil out of it, put a new filter on it, and forgot to put oil back in it. No boy gets in it, hops in it, heads down the road, and locks up accordingly because apparently engines don't like to run with oil in them, or correction, without oil in them. Sometimes they don't like running with oil in them. So crawled underneath and did a little inspecting, and I'll show you what I found. You may find this interesting. So first thing we're going to look at is there's a bit of a bodge job right here on the oil pan. It looks like some JB weld or something. The bottom of the oil pan is all beat up. But the really telltale sign for me was that spot right there. Let's see if you can actually see it. Yeah, you can. So I'll see if I can get you up in there. That spot right there indicates to me that there may be some sort of internal failure with the engine. And all of that like misshaping of the oil pan kind of gives an indication. I think we may have had a rod or two let go on the #1 journal. So I've already gotten under here and taken loose the flex plate from the torque converter. Fortunately, I was able to roll it backwards where I can get all the bolts undone. And I've already gotten those out, and the torque converter slid back against the transmission, and she'll spin backwards. But while I was doing that, you could hear some clunking and parts falling from up inside the engine in the oil pan here. Can't quite hear anything rattling there, but already got the starter off. Going to get the exhaust off of it and take loose this oil cooler mechanism deal here and unloosen the engine mounts, and then we'll start working our way kind of towards the front to try to get undone, and then come back and get the transmission, everything undone. Look at the motor mounts, and we'll get to the transmission bolts from the back of the bell housing, and we'll see if we can get this engine pulled out of here and get the LGB 350 stabbed in. So I drained the block so that I wouldn't get water all over the floor, and then this happened. I'm going to say that that was a fail. So get you caught up on where we are. I've gotten everything on the underside undone and unhooked, minus the lines for the fuel pump down there. But you might be able to see it. I've got the fuel pump actually loose. I robbed 2 of the bolts out of it, actually the 2 bolts out of it, to put on the new fuel pump for the new engine. And I'm just going to pull the fuel pump over to the side and pull the engine out, and then take all that stuff when I can get in there pretty easy. But I've got all the accessory drive off. I'm going to take the radiator hose off the water pump, and then pull the radiator out, and then take off the millions and millions of vacuum lines that the 1980s engineers felt that they needed to put on this thing for whatever reason. And I'll take the distributor cap off the top, and then we'll be able to start working on freeing this unit from here. I'm going to attempt, actually I'm not even going to be able to attempt to do that, but I wanted to try to pull the engine out without taking the hood off, and I may still try it, but we'll see. I'll probably end up having to take it off, but that's where we are for now. I had a friend come to visit. Not sure what he's doing there. He doesn't look too happy, but I'm going to take care of him. A little B12 will help him out. It's vitamin B12. It's not carburetor cleaner at all, so he should be good. Yeah, he doesn't look happy at all. All right. So I've got the engine loose. I've got the motor lift hooked up to it. It's kind of free from its spot. The only thing that may be an issue here is that I'm going to try to do it while it's all on the lift. So I'm not sure if my lift will go high enough and clear the hood. And the hood may be in the way, so I may have to like stop and take all that off. And then again, I may have to put the motor back down in there and take it off the truck off the lift and roll it back in the shop underneath the lift and pull it out there. So we'll see in just a second. Come along with me and we'll watch. Okay. And it's out. Same video, different day. Takes me way too long to do anything, but I'm coming at you live. Actually, it's recorded. It's live right now for me. From the engine bay of a 1980-something engineering marvel. First off, I'd like to thank the 1980s engineers who designed really the big three, and they decided that metric and standard fasteners would be acceptable, all intermingled throughout the system. So thank you guys for that, because I appreciate that a lot. Nowadays, you just have to work with Chinese engineering and use sizes like 9/16 and a half and 14 and a third. So anyways, that's that. But what I'm going to start working on is changing out these motor mounts here. They're kind of old and kind of perished, and it'd be foolish to to just leave them in here. So I've got a set of energy suspension motor mounts and transmission mounts that I'm going to swap in. And after I get those put in, I'm going to actually drain the fuel tank because I'm not sure how old the gas in this truck is. So I'll go ahead and get that out and gone. And hopefully I'll have some new good gas running here, at least from this year at least. So here we go. Oh my goodness. So this is the energy and suspension insert. It's the polyurethane style. And it goes inside the body of this. For whatever reason, we couldn't make a whole body so I could just go boop, boop, and then be done. We have to like go through rigmarole to get this out, and then take a drill and drill out these little riveted parts right here, and then stick this piece in and zip tie it together and then bolt it back in. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put this in the vise, and I'm going to drill these little riveted type pieces right here. All they did is just kind of shove the metal through there and deform it while it was hot. And we'll take this old perished motor mount out of here and we'll be good to go. So once you get it drilled, it comes right apart. I took a chisel and kind of stuck it down on one side. The back side popped off. And then I took the drill and kind of smoothed these up just a little bit so they'll fit back together just a little bit smoother. That's obviously not the way it goes on. Like so. You got two beveled sides, and that's how it goes. And ideally, you'd clean this up, so clean. Done. All right. Going to take a second to read the instructions here. So the wide piece is supposed to be facing the spread apart holes. So those are narrow, those are wide. It's wide. Fits in there like that. Does. Sure, it'll go the other way too. Yep. And then you take the zip ties if you're just going to do them in the truck. But I took the actual mount that these go on out because it was a little bit easier. I couldn't get to this bottom one very easy. So I'll bring it out from underneath the truck, stick it on. Now with that, it's installed. Now we'll just stick it back up in the frame rail. And we'll be done with that side. Only one more to do. So, it's that time of the video. Do me a favor. If you like what you see here, look down there in the kind of the lower left-hand side. I don't know where. It's somewhere down below me. And click that subscribe button. I'm pretty sure it's Italian for something, but I don't know what. Also, you can click that thumbs up deal. It does something, but I have no idea what it does, and I'm not kidding. I really don't know. It means like, but I don't know what that does for you. But just go ahead and like and subscribe if you would. That'll really help me out and get the word out there if you like what you see. And if you don't, you can click the dislike button. Apparently, it doesn't do anything anymore. But that's that. me show you what I got set up here for draining the fuel out. I've got one of these little electric fuel pumps right down there. You can see these wires running down to it. Those things are super handy to have. If you hadn't got one of those, you need to pick them up. You can get them from different parts houses. I got this one from the local one here, and it was probably like 20 bucks or whatever 100 years ago when I bought it. But I keep it wired up with a set of alligator clips. You can see I've got it clipped off on the frame rail there, so that I can use it for stuff like this, draining fuel tanks, draining the fuel tank on the lawnmower. And I used to use it to fill up fuel filters on my big truck. I'd stick it over in the tank. But I've got it run out into a 5-gallon gas can here, and I'm gonna suck what fuel's in the tank out of the truck and try to get it as clean as I can. So we'll start. I've already tested it, so we'll hook it up. Make sure that you have maximum sparkage with all this gas around. We'll go to the back and open up the fuel cap. And we'll let her go. All right, as you can see, we're getting ready to send this thing home. Fighting it to get it in there. Took a little bit of work to get it up and in here. Transferred the flex plate over for it off of another truck that I had, and reused some bolts. And so we're taped up a wiring harness in the back, got it up in here, and now we're getting ready to stick it down in there and then hook it up to the transmission. So this will be the kind of the slow and the tedious part. Lower a little bit, look, figure out what it's hanging on. What the heck? That motor mount right down there doesn't want to cooperate, so I'm about to take a hammer to it, see what we can get done. Ooh. There we go. And it's home. Finally. Now I get it up in the air and get all the bell housing bolts. So now I get it up in the air and get all the bell housing. So now I'll get it up in the air and get all the bell housing bolts in there and start just getting everything wrapped up and getting it put in, and I'm gonna call it good for the day.